depending on conditions. There can be moment of direct awareness by itself, by condition, which comes from hearing, considering, and becoming very firm, confident. Is it firm now? No one here.
Is it firm? Is it firm now? 即係大家對呢一個法嘅信心，即係咪好堅固咧？咁樣，因為頭先老師就係講話，即係要透過反覆嘅文思嚟到去到即係了解嗰個法嘅，咁到個心係完全係堅定不移嘅，咁大家係咪已經堅定不移咧？Ask them whether they are firm,
Yeah,
you know.
Because it still appears people and things. Not just that which arises is seen and fall away at all. And Buddha taught about the detail of each moment, like before seeing what is there. There must be citta.
Who is this lady? Who is Betty? Betty? Who is this lady?
This is another Nina.
Oh, nice. All right.
She lives up country, so it's very rare to get to see her.
Oh, that's really nice.
Just
a moment, there's a blood center.
So now the answer is Chanda is not Cetana, different Cetasika.
So when we move a hand, then was it Chanda that's making it move, or was it Cetana that makes it move?
Yeah, it's the one trying, but if we study carefully, we can understand different Cittas, like how many Cetasikas arise with this Citta. So when we talk about any moment, there must be the moment of what kind of citta is there. So we can understand whether there is chanda or cetana or not. But what is cetana first? A reality?
Yeah.
Citta, cetasika, rupa, what is?
Cetasika.
Cetasika.
Yeah.
Which arises with each moment
yes.
of citta. And chanta arise with some moment and
not some moment, not every moment.
So cetana cannot be chanda. Cetana is the will or intention to do, as we know now, very little about it. And chanda is the interest. You are interested in hearing the teachings, the right words, see, and there is cetana as well, because cetana must condition any moment of citta to arise, because there are the 7 universal cetasika arising with each citta.
So to study, like say, an action, like what sort of dhammas there? So like in the intention to move, then the intention wouldn't be arise every moment, right? It doesn't seem to me that it arises every moment.
We have to listen carefully. Cetana cetasika arises with each citta. No matter why one is fast asleep, whenever there is citta, there must be cetana arising together as conditions for its arising. But are you interested in this?
No.
See? So interest is not cetana, but there is cetana at moment of seeing. See?
But can I take an example? Like when someone asks me to move a thing, then I may not have any interest in moving that thing at all. Like, but then I will anyhow move it upon someone else's request. So in that case, that movement, that when I'm asked to move a thing, then that was chanda. That's moving. That push it to move, right? To the action. I mean that movement that I made.
After hearing, there must be thinking. And you think about the words you have heard. and you think about doing it. Otherwise, you cannot move. So there is cetana, and to know whether it is chanda or not. Not all cetasikas can be known. Only some can be known as self, not as cetasika. That's why we learn to understand that there must be different cetasikas at a time in order to really become less and less attached to them as I, because they are only different realities.
So for some realities, it's too subtle that we can't be able to experience it in daily life, right?
What can you do?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nothing at all.
That
Yeah.
Okay. So because there's a fine rupa or anything that's being mentioned, so it's not being able to experience.
We learn to understand from one thing to another thing, little by little, and study carefully in order to, at that moment, it is the beginning of the development of understanding it's not self. It's not just be told that it's not self. It has to be your own understanding from hearing and considering. Is chanda you?
No.
Cetasika?
Cetasika, yeah.
Is it you?
No.
Not at all. Whatever you are doing right now must be citta and cetasikas and rupa from moment to moment. Is there any question?
有冇任何問題？哦，你想我簡略講係嘛？其實即係基本上就講頭先我所問嘅問題咧，就係即係個手嘅移動嗰陣時候，裏邊到底係肉嘅心所係喺度啦，定係講緊思嘅心所咧？咁跟住思嘅心所咧，其實就係一切時候佢都會存在嘅。咁肉嘅心所咧就係有時存在，有時唔存在嘅。老師就會即係叫你去分析呢啲咁嘅狀況啦。跟住之後即係嘗試，即係同埋喺你如果你冇聽到嘅話，你根本上都唔會有嗰個想法，冇想法嘅你都唔會有嗰個行為咁。即係佢就咁樣解釋翻咯。因為其實我都唔係好完全明白老師佢本身想要表達嘅意思嘅，因為佢個思維其實唔係我哋平時諗嘅嗰種方式嘅，所以就係。係咯，就係基本上就係想講嘅就係呢啲咁嘅內容咯。咁同埋主要就係要認識就當下裏邊咧，只係得呢一心所、心識、心所同埋識法喺度嘅啫，即係特質現象喺度嘅啫，就冇其他嘢喺度嘅。佢就想大家知道嗰個想要喐嗰個心也好咩都好，係咪你啊？唔係你嚇，唔係你嚇，嗰啲心都唔係你嚟嘅咁樣。
No question yet.
Yeah, because the terms are a little bit too technical for them, like citta, cetasikas, and things, because they are not very familiar with those terms. So even if I translate them into Cantonese, they wouldn't be able to understand that easily.
But it's now and here. So just understand the developing and understanding it, which appears as not self. So if it's not self, what is it? So it's just a reality, conditioned. Without conditions, they cannot arise at all.
Actually, all these realities we are quite familiar with, even before hearing the Dhamma. It's only we used to take it for self. I am angry, I am sad, I see, I hear. So it's not something that's you need to particularly remember in as a technical thing, but it's life as it is. So if we refer to our experiences now, as Ajahn often reminds us, is now. So if we're feeling hungry, hunger is a reality. Feeling hungry is a reality. So it's not that far from us. It's not something we can't understand. It is our life. We begin to understand that these are not me who feels hungry, but they're just realities. Like hunger is a mental reality that arises and falls away. It is not citta, but it's cetasika. you may not remember the name Chitta or Chetasika, but you can call consciousness or whatever in your language. So it's daily life. It's life as it is. It's our life. We're studying about our life. Very ordinary. But slowly begin to understand the way things are, not the way we used to believe they were.
Excuse me. You have talked about the reality is something that we can be experienced, right?
Because it's now and here.
How about something that we can't experience? Is it something that we can't be experienced? Is it a reality or nothing else?
Like what?
Maybe, for example, some for example, in the universe, universe,
yes.
universe, that's something that I can't experience. Can we say that it is also a kind of reality?
What do you think about experience? You think about the universe, but it's that which is seen, and you think about it as that only. It's just like now. Is it not now universe? Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. Only that.
Yes.
No matter where.
Actually, I can think about it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
It's like the back, you've never seen it, right? But it's there, you know it to be there. So the universe, same thing. If this can be seen, and you can see something through a telescope, means there's a reality, right? So even if it's not experienced, you can understand that because there are certain realities that arises by certain conditions, so it's not waiting for us to see then prove that it's there. There are realities that don't require the experience.
Yeah.
Rupa is conditioned by heat, they call it, right?
You have talked about the absolute reality, right? There's a chitta, some sort of chitta sika. Chitta chika and the rupa, right? They are absolute reality, but they are also conditioned, right?
Whatever arises must be conditioned.
What is your meaning of absolute?
You cannot change its nature at all.
It cannot be changed. Then how can we say that it's conditioned?
Absolute means having its particular nature. You cannot break down to anything else. Like visible object can't be broken down to something else. I understand perhaps where you're coming from, because some people associate the word as absolute with nibbana or something, that cannot is not conditioned. No, there are two kinds of absolute realities: conditioned and unconditioned. The unconditioned is nibbana, and chitta, chetasika, and rupa are conditioned absolute realities.
So
they have their own particular characteristics, and being conditioned, they have the nature of rising and falling away immediately. So that's one kind of reality, absolute reality. The other, the unconditioned nibbana, does not rise and fall away. The both just absolute realities. Their nature is like that. One is conditioned, the other is unconditioned.
Yeah, I got it. But what I think, for example, concerning nibbana,
you won't be able to experience it now or something.
What?
I mean that, like, let's say that conditioned Dhamma and unconditional Dhamma, then Nibbana, we won't be able to experience it right at this moment, right? Yeah.
As there's no understanding of whatever is now, it's impossible to experience that which is not here.
Sorry, can you explain it
We
a little bit
cannot
more?
understand this right now, so how can there be the understanding of that which is not here and now?
Excuse me.
Sorry?
To further simplify Kun Sukin's explanation on what is absolute for people who are very new, if you just think in terms of chemistry, that hydrogen cannot be separated, cannot be broken down into something else. Its essential nature. And as far as nirvana or instant understanding, for example, earlier about the brief explanation on seeing is visible object impinge on eye sense, like light on the retina, so to speak. All right, without nimitta, which sort of tags it, remembers it, it's not possible to understand it. It's already arisen and fallen away. I think I'm seeing something, but that's the nimitta of it. I don't know if that helps.
When we talk about the absolute reality, it means that no one there at all, and no one can change the way it is or its characteristic. For example, can you change the sound into sweetness? No, not at all.
No.
Each one is conditioned to rise and falls away before any idea can think about changing it. It's gone. Otherwise, there cannot be many people here in this room. How fast it is. So hardness is hardness. It cannot be eye. It cannot be ear. Right? That is the meaning of absolute realities. And there are two kinds. One is conditioned. The other is unconditioned. No arising. That which is not conditioned cannot arise and falls away. And there is only one nature, one reality, which is Nibbana.
Chan, implicit in the meaning of absolute is also that it is anatta. Means that if it's an ultimate reality, it is anatta.
Right. All dhammas are anatta.
Anatta 即係無我。
No one, no thing. Why? Because all gone. All the time, unknowingly. We believe or think that it's there all the time, but actually it's only the succession of the arising and falling away of different realities. Only that. That's why this world is like the world of magic, the magic world. From not. So what is understanding?
乜嘢係明白啊？
What is panya?
智慧係乜嘢啊？
Pana is about concerning. Pana is concerning the ability to make the right choice.
It's a reality, can we say? It's real.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
reality.
It arises to understand. Before hearing, there's no understanding. Considering and beginning to know and to understand the truth, and that is panya, not I.
Yeah, and I try to interpret your meaning. That means seeing, hearing, touching, or smelling, thinking before the pana. Do Do you mean that? Yeah.
Before.
No, Panya is a reality, is a conditioned reality, and it performs a particular function. So Panya arises to know other realities, the characteristic of other realities. So when Panya arises at the sense door, it will know the characteristics of what is experienced. For example, seeing. It can understand seeing, or it can understand visible object, or anything else that arises with it. So, and if it arises after the seeing, it will understand whatever is the object of experience that.
Okay.
So Panya arises to know the object. But of course it does not arise with the seeing itself. It arises following to know the seeing, the next
Can seeing understand anything?
見到可唔可以明到任何嘢喎？就咁見到 ？No。
Can intention or cetana understand anything?
個思心所可唔可以明到任何嘢呢？ No。
Can chanda understand
欲
anything?
心所可唔可以明到任何嘢呢？ No。
So, panya or right understanding is a reality which arises and understand. Just arise to understand.
咁智慧就係生起嚟就係明白嗰樣嘢嘅嗰個心所。
It's a cetasika.
咁佢亦都係一個心所嚟。
And altogether are 52 cetasikas, and panya is one.
咁總共有52個心所，咁智慧係其中一個。
So what's the best in life?
生命當中最好嘅係乜嘢
What is the best thing in life? Reality in
？To
life.
understand.
Right. Only that, only that. So don't do anything without understanding. It's wrong.
But we have a lot of no understanding. We have lots and lots and ignorance.
Right.
That is the form of understanding.
咁呢一種唔即係佢哋就話，即係呢種唔知道我哋係活喺無明裏邊嘅嗰個就係一個智慧嚟咯，就係有一刻嘅嗰個智慧咯，其中一種嘅呈現咯。
Please excuse me.
Yes, sir.
If I may rephrase that is, I didn't realize how ignorant I was, how little I understood until I got here.
你唔係想講？
And after coming here, still a lot of ignorance, right? Yeah.
Just drop
And
right
and
down
and
into the ocean.
and you will realize even more that it's much more than what we think.
Yes, it's not a drop, it's an ocean, but slowly, slowly coming to understand this is an ocean of ignorance.
But after hearing so many times and after considering so many times, so gradually the understanding becomes accumulated, right, somehow.
But it has to be that way, slowly, from hearing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Without
sure,
hearing,
sure,
there cannot be
sure, sure, sure,
understanding.
Sure. Yeah.
That means our understanding, our partner developed gradually together with our chitta, right?
Chitta does not belong to anyone. It's gone. But it conditioned the other chittas. That's why everything which is experienced accumulates in each chitta from moment to moment. That's why we learn from one word to another word.
So we have to understand that chitta
Cetasika
and chittatika,
and rupa.
They appear and disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
All the time, unknowingly. Beyond imagination, expectation.
Yeah, because all of the realities that we have been discussing, they have three major characteristics. They are anatta, meaning there's no self. There's no self there, or being, a personality that can decide or has control over these things. We think there's a self here. I think this is Betty, and okay, and that's Adelino, and so forth. But in actuality, there's no being here. And the more we understand, that's one of the characteristics, and the more we understand the idea of no self, the more we can detach from all these things that we are attached to. Oh, I love my phone. Okay? And we think this phone is real, but this phone is made up of realities. Okay? It looks permanent until it breaks, but it looks it looks permanent, but in actual fact it's in flux. All the realities that make up this thing are rising and falling away all the time. So another characteristic, everything is impermanent. Anicca. Everything is impermanent. And because of those two realities, those two characteristics, we have a third characteristic. Everything is dukkha, unsatisfactory. And the more we understand these characteristics and the interplay of these characteristics at deeper and deeper levels, this is the essence of Buddhism. The more we can disattach from those things that we are attached to, that bring dukkha, basically. Okay, and that is the purpose of this teaching and this study, is to learn detachment. And this is very difficult because we live our daily lives and we get involved with all these different things that come up every day in our work, whatever. All this dukkha that comes up in our work, and then our minds are centered on all those things rather than centering on thinking about and even understanding or reading the Dhamma or listening to the Dhamma and deeply thinking or considering about it. We're distracted from that all the time because of conditions. Okay, and so we have to understand that too. That's the nature of life. That even within those situations where we're thinking about the family, the work, this, that, whatever, if the conditions are right, there can be a moment of arising of understanding, and it's always the understanding of the nature of a particular reality that is arising at that very particular moment, and it's a mental development, basically. This is what mental development is all about. And the more we read and listen and develop the awareness to be aware of these things arising and falling away, these realities, the more we learn, the deeper the understanding grows, and the more we disattach and don't become so emotionally attached to all these things. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what it is. It takes many lifetimes. It's not easy. I can sit here and tell you this, but I tell you I have so many attachments. So, but I wouldn't call it it is a struggle in a sense, but it's also a very rewarding struggle, because when it happens, the mind feels freer and less tension. Okay, so this is, but we're not working for the reduction of tension. Where the main thing is the development of understanding, and that is the reading, listening to the Dhamma, deeply thinking about what you've read and heard, talking about it, listening to it, and when the conditions are there, not because you want the conditions to be there. You can't say at 5 o'clock today there are going to be conditions. No. When the conditions are right, when all the conditions come together in some certain way, that will arise. Okay. And so that's basically what it's all about.
Please excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes. So, about the analogy of what is hydrogen, something absolute. So water is hydrogen with 2 parts oxygen. Now, about understanding or being able to comprehend Chitta and Cetasika, I could liken that to a waterfall. Now catch the hydrogen. So at this level, that sort of brilliant understanding is not possible. But having a moment of understanding is a truly wonderful, beneficial thing. But not to hope for anything remotely near nirvana at this point.
I think what Eve is alluding to is in the process of understanding what is a reality, we also have to know what is a concept. When we look at this table here, this table is a concept. All these things that have shape, that we see, that appear, that have shape and form, these are all concepts. Okay? The glass, the table, the book, the pens, the etc. Everything here, the books, everything, all these people, all these machines, air conditionings, whatever. Okay? All these are made up of realities. They are not realities themselves because they don't have the characteristics of realities. They're not real. The mind, in the process of Citta and Cetasika arising and falling away, and a series of Citta and Cetasika rising and falling away, the mind creates meaning and creates this idea that this is a glass, and we name it and we call it a glass. And because the mind does this, because it's easier to think of this in terms of a glass than as a bunch of rupa, we see these things as objects, and we forget that there's really realities that make up this thing. And because of that, because this is part of ignorance. When understanding is not there, the opposite is there, ignorance. So we tend to think of these things, and we develop attachment because we think there's a being here. So we develop attachment. We say, "Ooh, yeah, it's my phone. I love it. Oh yeah, I love this flavor of juice. Oh yeah, I love this." Or, "Ugh, I can't stand this. I don't like it." Okay, so we either have every second, either there's a what we call dosa. Yeah, we either don't like it. Dosa is we don't like it, or we really like it. Either both of those are dosa anyway. But we either like something, we don't like it. This is an automatic thing. You close your eyes, open your eyes, whatever you see, you either like, you don't like, or you're indifferent to it. Meaning you don't have a feeling for it one way or another. Okay. And that's a natural process. And understanding all these things that the mind does, these jittas and jetasikas that are rising and falling away, all those things that we think the mind is doing, to greater understand them, so that on say just the lowest level of understanding, so that we can have greater, that this sets conditions for greater and more understanding. Well, to arise later at different levels of understanding. And well, let's
Achan, as Puthujanas, unenlightened ordinary people, all this study of the Dhamma is towards attachment to the idea of self, and not less attachment to sensuous objects.
Less ignorance.
Less ignorance.
I want to ask more question on the absolute reality. Yes, because I want to make myself clear. Yeah. For the rupa, concerning the rupa, the four big elements. Maharupa, okay. Are also kinds of rupa. How can we understand? Is there that they exist as absolute element?
Yeah, how do we know they're absolute?
Yeah.
How do we know that they actually are there? Okay. This is true. I guess at any level of the level of development that we're all at, we perhaps cannot experience them yet. Well, but we can experience things like we know if I touch the table, it's hard. All those basic things we can experience. We can understand we can know what they are at a lower level. I don't want to use all the terms, but at a lower level we can understand what hardness is and so forth, okay? But to really understand what they are, the more we discuss, the more we talk about it, the more we learn Dhamma, the more we think about them, the more conditions for understanding what hardness, say, really is will arise. So at this point, maybe we can understand it as a concept, basically. Hardness, yes, I can understand hardness, but we don't really yet understand it as it really is as a reality.
I'm not sure if that's the question. Is it that how we understand hardness, heat, motion, pressure as Mahabhuta Rupa? Is that your question?
No.
Because they are. Hardness is a Mahabhuta Rupa.
Yeah.
It's a reality.
All those things you mentioned.
But hardness is also conditioned.
Yes, all realities are conditioned.
Are conditioned. That means absolute means that, for example, hardness has its own characteristics. So we call hardness is absolute.
Yes.
Okay, for example, here.
Do you have to call it absolute? But when it's here, when you touch, it's there.
It's a degree of hardness, hard, soft, medium, what have you. And I cannot change the characteristic of what constitutes hardness. I cannot change the characteristic of what constitutes heat. I cannot change the characteristic of what constitutes motion, the breeze, feel. That's just, that the breeze is already in concept, but just the motion. So cannot change the characteristic. That's what I mean about at this level of understanding, watching the waterfall and thinking, I can understand what is hydrogen and catch it. The Chetasikas and Chitta Chetasikas, all this arise so rapidly beyond like waterfalls, so many just nanoseconds. Not possible not to be concerned with that at this level of understanding. But that this Maharupa is experience, touch the table, hardness. It's a degree of hardness, softness, and that's it right there. Beyond that, it's all into thinking, Chitta, Chetasika, all this thinking and concept, because the nimitta remembers the nimitta.
Because why I ask these questions? Why I ask these questions? Because it's that many people in Hong Kong ask the same questions. So I bring this question here today. And another common question raised by the Hong Kong Yokees about the Nibbana as a kind of unconditioned reality. Okay? We call it unconditioned because how should I say? They also ask a question, for example, Nibbana, it need to be cultivated. We need cultivate our
cultivation to lead to
we need cultivation cultivation practice. For example, the eightfold path. Yeah, we have to practice the noble path, the eighth one, the eighth noble path, in order to achieve Nibbana.
Can we say that Nibbana is Nibbana is a reality. It's unconditioned. We hear that when we listen to the Dhamma. We can't experience it, but because the Buddha said that it exists, it's real, and we have confidence in his teachings based on what we understand, so it's a reality. And then we hear that Nibbana is experienced only by a very high level of wisdom. The wisdom that develops from the beginning, first hearing and then experiencing the realities of daily life at different levels, deeper and deeper. And then at one point, Nibbana is experienced by that very high level of Panya. And that Panya is part of the Noble Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
So it arises with these 7 other realities at that moment. The 8th one is Panya, and the other Sati, concentration, and all these. So this is what is meant by the Noble Eightfold Path being the third noble truth, the fourth noble truth. That it is that truth which experiences the Nibbana and performs at that moment the function of eradicating certain defilements.
The problem is, how is this experienced? How is this being experienced?
What is
how is this being experienced? What you mentioned about this higher wisdom?
No, the wisdom has to develop. I was trying to say it has to develop from now, from understanding. We're talking about the Eightfold Path arises with Panya being the leader, and that Panya is of that level, which is the result of beginning levels: intellectual understanding, direct understanding, vipassana yanas, to that magga. So the point is that we understand the Noble Eightfold Path as being the result of this development, but all the way with Panya being the leader. So that's why it's easier to, better to say that it's all about the development of wisdom, the development of right understanding. From beginning to end, it's all Panya which leads to the experience of Nibbana.
And so it is not, it's going the opposite way to say, I will do this practice with the intention and thinking that it will get me closer to nirvana, which is something that to be achieved. This is mana, stress, tension, and going in the opposite direction. But to hear the Dhamma, to associate with wise people. This is beneficial. To this leaning toward understanding, if I may make the analogy of a sunflower, roots in the soil, water, rain comes, it absorbs the water and the nutriment. The sun, the light, it turns, a sunflower in French is tournesol, it turns with the sun. In Japanese, himawari. From ages ago, these people never met, but the concept is the same. It turns with the sun. And so it is, we lean toward the Dhamma, the truth. And then this conditions more understanding. Because in the beginning of the conversation, the question was, are we getting firm? Is anyone firm? And everyone laughed because we're a bit soft.
So, Ajahn, I would like to ask about Kalapa. So, in the commentary or in the Abhidhamma, we mentioned a lot about, when we discuss Rupa, it mentioned about Kalapa. So, Kalapa is not something that we can really experience in daily life. So we don't have to understand it, right? When it's not arising at this moment at all. I mean, when we don't see it at this moment at all.
Everywhere we take for thing, a people, a body, there must be space in between. Each kalapa, the tiniest, that cannot be separated at all, inseparated kalapa. Right now, how many kalapas?
I don't know.
Yeah, lots of kalapa.
我問嘅係粒子，嗰個叫色聚啦，正式嘅名就叫色聚 Kalapa， 咁就即係色聚係一啲論典同埋注釋裏邊成日會提到嘅，即係物質嘅組成咁樣。咁點樣去知？咁頭先阿張就話你掂咁有幾多色聚喺度？唔知，我就答唔知咯。
It's like counting the particles of hydrogen in the waterfall.
No, but we do understand that each of these realities, the form abhuta rupas and the derived and whatever, that they arise together, and only one each, right? Yeah. So that idea of kalapa can be understood from intellectual level, and we understand that it is just understanding at that level. And it's not experience. We're not talking about trying to have direct experience of kalapas, because that's not the point. The point is to understand that realities, the rupas, have to arise in groups.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like when we talk about that, when someone attains nibbana, he leaves the Kama world and also the Rupa world and also the Arupa world. So, like, if that person is not able to have any experience of the Rupa world or the Jhanic world or the Brahmic world, then how can he be able to understand that all these Rupa or Arupa components, or their chitta, cettasika, and so on, are anatta?
What is the world?
Yeah, the world are just 5 khandhas.
No, each reality is a world.
每一個真實法都係一個世界。
If nothing arises, there's no world, right?
如果冇嘢生起，就唔會有世界。
But if there is only one thing arise, that is a world. But the world is full of many, many things arising at once together. So we take the whole as a world, but actually only one reality is a world. The world of sight is different from the world of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking.
And because we take all these realities together as being something, that we are here living in the world, that the idea that what does a person who's attained nibbana, how can he know it? That's all just long stories. We're not talking about realities. So when we talk about realities, then we begin to understand that what's true and what's not. Because at the moment of nibbana, at the moment of enlightenment, it's one chitta with certain chetasikas arising at a base, heart base, experiencing one object, and that's Nibbana, and that's all. So no idea about anything as sense objects, and there's no sensuous world, there's no jhana, there's no nothing, because that's a different kind of world, right? That's the no, it's not even called the world, it's the unconditioned reality. So there's nothing else. So where you're coming from is probably from this basic idea, but you have started to think in terms of persons, because at the moment of Lokuttara, which is no rupa, no nama, it's different. It's the unconditioned. It's not the conditioned. So jhana is conditioned, rupas are conditioned, chitta, cetasika, all are conditioned.
But these are all realities, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But the
These are all
conditioned realities.
Yes.
Nibbana is not conditioned.
What I mean is that when we talk about like daily wearing things like that, what Betty has just explained about the hardness and so on. So what's mentioned in the commentary and the Abhidhamma about these rupa dhammas or rupa world, about these jhanic javana chittas and so on, these cannot be experienced, right? At least at our understanding.
Well, sense experience, the sensuous plane, and jhana is different.
Yeah.
That's not sense experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, when in jhana you're not experiencing sense objects, you experience something else.
Yeah, the mind still knows. What I mean is that it understand, like it's just that while we are understanding what we understand now, but these ideas, these realities as mentioned regarding those rupa world, these can't be understand without samadhi, right?
Yeah, rupa, that's the development of another kind of wisdom.
Yeah.
To experience jhana is a development of another kind of wisdom.
Yeah. So while we do not understand these kind of things, isn't this somehow ignorance there, without being able to understand those Dhamma?
The Buddha said, trying to find out what the jhana what a person who experiences jhana experiences for us is crazy. I mean, we don't know. We know only the sensuous plane. When we are there, then we know.
Yeah, I mean, but in that sense that the attachment to those rupa worlds will not be able to be eradicated. I mean, Nibbana is somewhere that's not within these karma, rupa or rupa world. So
yeah, the Noble Eightfold Path is the only way for eradication of it. That's why jhanas do not lead to eradication.
Yes,
they just suppress.
Yeah, I mean the to understand that all these rupa worlds, chitta, chetasikas, realities are anatta, would not be able to be known or understand.
You mean the wisdom of jhana does not understand anatta, right?
其實我嘅意思係想問，即係當我哋講嘅所有呢啲經驗裏邊嘅嘢，其實呢啲係欲界嘅經驗嚟嘅啫嘛，即係人可以經驗到嘅經驗啦，係咪先？咁當我哋喺書裏邊會讀得到關於色界同埋無色界嘅嗰啲心所各樣嘅真實，我哋一直都講緊係要明白究竟法啊嘛。咁你都冇辦法經驗呢啲究竟法嗰陣時候，呢啲色界無色界嘅究竟法嗰陣時候，你點樣知佢係無我呢？咁你點樣？你唔知道佢無我嘅話，咁咪真係無知咯，係嘛？你明唔明我意思啊？即係咁咯。但係我唔知佢哋 get 唔 get 到我意思，就係咁。無色界係英文。rupa rupa world 就係個色界啦嚇。rupa 就係無色界啦，係啦。
What you mean by the world in that sense? Because you talk about rupa in different meaning. Because we talk about plane of existence.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are plane of existence with 5 khandas, the rupa and nama, and some planes only rupa and some plane only nama.
Yes.
So when we talk about that, we have to understand what is this world. This is a sensuous world. 5 khandhas, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. But there are different worlds by different conditions too. Can you experience the Rupa world?
No, not at this moment.
So what is Rupa world?
Rupa world are just those who attain the jhanic states, the first jhana, second jhana, and third, so on.
And what is jhana?
Concentration.
Only that?
No.
See, so
it
it's
has all
beyond
these.
that.
It has all these 5 supporting.
Yeah. And why do they develop that? Those who were born in that plane.
When one cultivate concentration samadhi,
Why? Why does one do that?
they want to attain a calm state.
Why do they want?
When do they want?
Why?
Why do they want? Oh, they want peace.
Peace of what? Peace of what?
Peace from the sensual world.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Is it very, very difficult to attain that state?
I think not that difficult if someone have spent like months and months in concentration practice and.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Adelino, I noticed on your card that it had meditation center, and sometimes people think that through meditation a certain jhana or calm or peace can be achieved. And I was wondering, at this meditation center, what sort of meditation is practiced and who facilitates the meditation, please?
We practice the Burmese vipassana.
Not Buddhist meditation. Burmese meditation.
What do you mean by
I mean,
Vipassana is a meditation.
Because there are many types of methods that's available. We can say that. So we use one of those that's being taught in Burma.
What do you define?
Define as vipassana.
Vipassana, you just know the nature of things.
Okay, it's the process by which wisdom arises. Okay?
Yes, of course.
So, do you actually need to meditate on an object in order to have wisdom arise?
Not necessarily.
Right, okay. So if it's not necessary, then why bother with it?
No,
Why
it-
bother?
It's just one, according to him, it's just one of the many ways.
Yeah.
Do you think there are many ways to develop wisdom? Or
Yeah, of
That's-
course, of course. Some people gain wisdom in daily life. Some people, like monks, they choose the way to leave their family to cultivate the 3 sekha. So
but what do they understand when they are monks? What do they understand? And when people in daily life, what do the people in daily life, lay life understand?
realities.
Realities, right?
Yes.
So it's the realities that arise now.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
method,
But people have different tendency and inclination, so they need different methods. So you understand what I mean? Like it's like food. Like we have Thai food, we have Chinese food, we have Japanese food. All these are food, right? So yeah, all these are food. But
Buddha made us understand food. Doesn't make us to walk around thinking this is Japanese food, that is just, but understand food as food.
yes, just food can fill up our bodies, like can alleviate that hunger dukkha. Then it's okay. It serves
Understand
the
what?
purpose.
Understand that food is a reality,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's Chinese or what.
Of
It's
course.
not to think about
Yeah, of course
it
it
being
doesn't matter.
a Chinese food, or but just to understand,
Yeah,
right? So
Yeah.
whatever we are, wherever we are, it's
Yeah.
just to understand.
yeah. Yeah, I mean people.
So
have-
why are we still getting lost in, I want to try Japanese to, I want to try that to
No,
attain
it's-
enlightenment.
It's not about we.
method.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
that's right.
I mean,
so
we-
if it's a reality, why think about methods?
No,
When it's a reality,
I-
it's all the same.
of course when we talk about like carbohydrate, like all types of food have carbohydrate to a degree or whatever. So, but then people have preference. Some people like spicy food, and some people like so on. Yeah.
We talk about anotherness.
Yeah.
Can we choose the object for anyone or for oneself?
No, when we
Or
talk
depending on accumulation?
when we talk about realities.
Yes. in order to attain reality through what? Kayanupassana Satipatthana, Vedananupassana Satipatthana, Chittanupassana Satipatthana, Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. Can you select?
Can we see it?
Can you select, choose,
Or select,
choose
or
the
select.
object? Yeah.
Or can we select it? No, we don't. We can't.
So it depends on conditions.
Yes, when it
And
arises, sometimes
do you know
it's-
your condition or accumulation?
we don't
Right
know.
now,
We
you don't know until Panya is there.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that you choose by yourself.
Mm.
You like it that way, and you think that it is good for you, but actually, it depends on accumulation.
Yeah.
By accumulation, through accumulation, right understanding arise and understand that. That's why some people have Kayanupassana and some people
Yes.
Chittanupassana, but not by selection.
Yeah. No, it's not by selection. I mean, I cannot choose to be a Chinese or not, right?
No.
Meditation centers, they give you to
It's like
concentrate on certain
when
certain things,
It's
right?
also being conditioned that we come
No.
across with certain type of
No.
methods or not, right? It's like if without any karmic conditions, right? I wouldn't be here, right?
But the
Agree?
conditions,
Yeah.
yes, that brought you
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But the question then becomes, if we look at this this method that's usually taught by concentrating on an object in order to induce calm, which is what the development of jhana is, we have to ask whether that method will lead to the arising of the understanding
necessarily.
that can be gained with that is through vipassana.
Okay, tell me a bit about the methods. What is it aimed at?
No,
Any method.
it's not about method or not method or whatever it is. It's just the mind that is it in a right understanding, like whether it is having attachment with it while we practice. Is if there is loba, like while we want to get something while we practice, and this is wrong, right? No matter whatever method you use, yeah, this is loba, right? So when
You
someone
want to practice?
we just want to leave all these arguments and all these things behind.
Want, right?
Yeah.
But it is want. And the idea is to understand that wanting.
So that's why the first question we ask is about chanda, interesting in something.
Right, chanda is
So-
another reality
Yeah. So
which needs to
chanda-
be understood.
So there are two types of chanda, right? Kama chanda and chanda, right? Yeah, kama chanda.
What is the difference?
Kama chanda is accompanied with loba, but chanda does kama chanda, yeah. Yeah, kama chanda is associated with akusala dhamma, but chanda, no.
But how can that be known as whether it is karma or dhamma?
When what we were talking about, that you practice in a very like greedy way, you want something very badly.
How long did a bodhisattva become a Buddha, Sammasambuddha?
He make adhitan. He make
How
a vow
long? How
to
long?
become a Buddha, and then he
How long?
practiced for 4 asakaya lives.
Uncountable life. And can we do that?
As the Buddha, as was stated in Sutta, like even the Sawaka, they also accumulated many perfections in many lives.
So now are we accumulating,
Yeah, we are all accumulating perfections.
not practice?
We just do dana, we just do...
But without panya, only dana cannot lead to understanding
No, cannot.
reality
Yeah.
right now.
The 10 type of perfections.
That's why there's no one at all. There are only different realities. And the best reality is right understanding, which is very, very difficult to really understand the absolute truth as it is, as nobody, no one at all.
Yeah.
So, what is sati? Is it you?
Sati is no us, it's not anyone.
So what is it?
It is just a cetasika.
What characteristic is it?
It has the characteristics of not wobbling. It has the it has the function of sorry, what is it? Sync on the object, and it has the manifestation of protecting the mind from Makusa Dhammas and so on.
If panya does not arise, can there be the understanding of whether there is sati now or not?
No, cannot.
So it depends on panya,
Yes.
which knows.
Sure.
So can you make sati arise if you meditate? See, there's nothing to do to make sati or panya arise.
It doesn't
Sitting
really.
meditation.
It doesn't really mean about making something. We're just there, right? Like when we know that we are talking, then there is sati, right?
But it's not. Is it known?
Without panya, without understanding, it's
So
not known.
without panya, nothing can be known.
Yes.
So panya can understand this very moment as
Yes,
it is,
yes, yes,
which
yes.
will lead to understanding other moment as well,
Yes.
in order to get less and less attachment to
Yes.
the idea of self,
Yes.
and that is the Eightfold Path, not the
Yes.
other way at all.
Yeah.
No sitting, no walking,
Yeah.
not doing anything.
But actually, we do a lot of sitting and walking while we are doing daily life, right? Now we are sitting a lot already, right?
Normally,
Not believing it to be a practice, because when you believe it to be a practice, that's not understanding.
I mean, when someone believes that practice has to be somewhere, then he's already being attached to some sort of things, right? When we're talking about practice, actually, we mean that we just learn to understand. This is what I understand as a practice, right? I don't know whether you agree that, like everyone studies here, right? This is a sort of practice, isn't it? Do you don't consider it a practice here?
No.
Like
We
you
make the
learn-
distinction between intellectual understanding and practice. Practice is direct understanding, which is a very high level.
That's bhavana that you try
So
to
that's
mean. Yes.
that's different.
Yeah.
Each word we have to try to understand what it really is. So
Yes.
when we use the word practice, what is taught in the teachings as practice?
Yeah.
We understand that practice is direct understanding of a characteristic of reality. So no one assumes to come here to practice or even to develop intellectual understanding. We come here knowing the value of Dhamma, and we come here to listen.
But you still have the intention to come over here,
Come,
right?
yes, but
Yeah.
for what result? Nothing, just to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Just to listen, right?
Yeah.
Just to listen. Because that's the only conclusion. Understanding that seeing now, for example, has already arisen and fallen away.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the time we think about it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right? Even hearing, even the thinking,
Yeah.
it has already arisen and falling away. So with all realities,
Yeah.
what can anyone do? The
No.
only conclusion is to hear more, because we
Yeah.
tend to want to get something all the time. We tend
Yeah.
to want results, to have understanding.
Yeah.
But if there's understanding now that each moment has arisen by conditions and already gone, it's like this all the time from birth to death. So what is the only conclusion? Just keep listening. The same way you go to a class in physics, for example, you listen to a professor, you don't understand, but you see the value. Your conclusion is to come and listen more, to study more, right? Same with Dhamma.
Yeah.
You know that, see, there's no understanding. There's no way to make understanding rise. So come and listen. That's why we're here. Because we have some intellectual understanding of the value of understanding and how much ignorance there is. So there's no idea of coming as a practice. That's already going against the understanding.
This is precisely what Kun Sukin has said, is that because citta is not self, how can citta be directed through this practice of, for example, meditation, to make sati arise, to make panya arise? It cannot be done. There's no self. So this is teaching error. It's teaching error.
Can I
and
use a
people are
daily
going farther
example?
away.
We work in working in some sort of office or whatever. We were assigned a job, and then we were supposed to follow a deadline, and we're supposed to finish it on time. And in that situation, we have the pressure to do something, right? In say, let's say 8 hours, we have to finish it in time. So in that sort of situation, is there any realities there?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's not a situation that is leading to the development of understanding.
It can't lead to anything. I mean,
The only thing it leads to is other concepts, i.e., I want to have enough money so I can eat, so I can buy this and buy that.
Yeah, but realities
but
are,
that has nothing to do with
are
reality.
everywhere, every moment, every time, right? That's correct, right?
Yeah.
So in that sort of like what we meant about this intensive sort of meditation practice, or rather it's an intensive daily activities that we are coming with, all
It's
are
the same.
all, it's just it's the same.
It's the same now.
Yeah.
So you're contradicting yourself by saying that it's a different situation.
I don't mean that there is any differences.
You're saying that there is a difference because you're not. You
What-
think
what-
that panya cannot arise now, or it doesn't.
That's what
arise
I'm saying,
enough,
that panya-
then it will arise.
Panya can arise at any place, at any moment, right? When it has the
doesn't
ri-
matter
So
where you
does
when
it-
it has the right conditions, right? So why would
So-
we bother about meditation center or not meditation center? You know, you understand my argument here, right?
Right.
Well,
so why
yeah.
bother about
Why go to the
center?
meditation center?
Why do you have to bother about meditation center or not meditation center?
Yeah, exactly. Why do you have to bother about a
So
meditation
that's
center?
then we just leave this concept away and talks about reality.
Please
Then says okay,
excuse me.
right?
Then why do you go to a meditation center?
I mean, it's like why you go to a job or something. It's somewhat similar to this kind of questions,
Okay,
right?
I go to a job because living in the world of concepts.
Yeah.
Okay, we need money to eat. I need money to buy clothes. I need money to. Okay, so we all work. We had a job. I'm retired now, so I'm. But the development of understanding is not going somewhere and following a certain routine to
They-
achieve
then
something.
there are
You
monks and
are-
nuns,
the
right?
development of understanding depends on the conditions. Even in the course of, let's say, you're writing up this report for your boss, he needs it in 10 minutes, and you've got to get this report finished. And even that, there could be conditions arising for sati, say, to arise at that moment, or whatever. It depends. So just in the practice of everybody's daily life, whatever you happen to be doing, whether it's cooking your dinner, or you're walking to your work, or you're going out with your friends, or whatever you're doing, that is the world of concepts, where we everything, all these things have shape and form, and that we're in that particular moment, we're dealing with all these different things that we either have lopa for or we either have dosa for, okay? And so in the course of that, whether you go to the meditation center and you want to sit there and meditate for 24 hours and whatever. I have a friend who meditates for 8 hours a day, okay? I said, and then he's sleeping another 8 hours, so I said, okay, well, all right, you got 8 hours. Okay. It depends on, is what you're doing wholesome? Is whatever you're
Not
doing...
necessarily. A
Not
lot of
necessarily,
people-
but
Yeah.
that's another aspect, is having the understanding to be aware what activities are wholesome and what activities are not wholesome. What activities are going to, what do we mean by wholesome and unwholesome? A wholesome activity is one that helps to create conditions for the arising of panya, or understanding, and sati and panya, okay, and lessening the idea of self.
I think you
Okay.
need parami, because if
Well,
it's
that's
just-
yeah,
if
okay.
it's just
Those
any
are
kind
they're
of
just
wholesome-
categorizing the different kinds, but whereas an unwholesome activity, where I am an accountant, say, and I'm cheating the books so I can make money, or doing something that is immoral or whatever, that's unwholesome, and that's not going to lead to understanding. So we have to That's going to lead to something that increases the idea me, 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 me. Okay, that's the difference between what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. So yeah, just let me finish a second. So that's the only way we can categorize the various activities, or going to the meditation center and concentrating on breath, say. Is it wholesome or is it unwholesome? Does it lead to the development understanding, or does it lead to an increased sense of self?
Yes.
Okay?
That's
so
the
we have
issue.
to ask
That's a very
those
key
two
issue, yeah.
those questions when whatever activities we're doing during the day. Okay? That's the criteria. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, perhaps this may be of help. Rather than, now that you are getting more and more a sense of what is going on here at the Dhamma Center, perhaps it would be a wise thing to do in the light of this understanding and new information, is to go from a meditation center and to change. Rather than protect, is to correct. Because to persist in error because of attachment and to the self, and I have this center established in this sort of a way, which is how it appears, or I get the sense of it now is I'm seeing the attachment, and also for this vehicle, which I call Eve, is the ego is formidable, and how it blocks, how ignorance throws a cover over. So instead of protect, correct, and change. So it can go from a meditation center into a Dhamma study center, and this information can be downloaded and circulated and disseminated, so it can lead toward understanding and be used for something wholesome rather than persisting in error.
Yeah, but we're not talking about doing something without understanding, right? So it has to be understanding that conditions whatever actions that need to be done, and we're not
continue.
We can't no. We're here to share the Dhamma, and we are so ignorant, but to the best of our ability we're trying to express our understanding, which includes what's right and wrong practice, and here we're here to discuss that. So
I hope to learn a lot of wisdom here. So we go back to understanding realities. It's better, right?
Everything goes back to understanding realities.
Every moment is reality.
For instance, if we look at what is wholesome, and we try to understand what that means. For instance, what are wholesome activities? Wholesome activities are, for instance, studying Dhamma is a wholesome
like carings
activity.
and so on.
Okay, reading, listening to the Dhamma.
Yes.
Another wholesome activity is generosity, giving.
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
if so often I listen and read with ignorance, so that's not wholesome.
That's right. That's not wholesome. But it's understanding what is the nature.
May I ask whether can Panya understand this moment as it's not self?
At the back it comes
Can.
here.
I see. Can Panya understand this moment as it is, as not self? Because life is just this moment. We don't know what will come.
Yeah.
Can be death.
Yeah.
Anytime. So can Panya, not I or anyone, but can Panya understand this moment as it is, as not self, as just a reality? Can. So it's not anyone who can do, right? But right understanding begins to understand from hearing and considering, and it's not wrong enough to understand the moment of seeing which arises and falls away. So it's not anyone who would like to try so hard to spend the whole life for that, but understanding that Panya, not self, whether it understands this moment. If not, impossible. But Panya, which has been developed from hearing again and again and again, and considering again and again and again, will be that moment which, like Buddha or any of his disciples who had accumulated lots of Panya, enough to understand, but as anatta, not anyone at all. Because who knows what will come next moment, what will be thinking or hearing or what, or Panya. But it cannot be Panya when there's no hearing about the teachings of the Buddha, which is so very, very deep. We have to consider so carefully to really understand that no one at all, there are realities only. And the way of the teachings will lead to detachment and the eradication of ignorance. As long as there is ignorance, no matter where you are, there cannot be understanding of anything, no matter how much one tries so hard. So that's why it has to begin. Otherwise, one thinks that one has enough understanding and one can do, but actually impossible, because it has to be very, very careful, very, very subtle, like is now. Seeing arises and falls away.
Yes.
Can it be known?
It can be.
By what?
By Panya.
By Panya, which begins to know more and more and more and more. At moment of understanding, it lessens ignorance little by little. So very little.
Yes.
And one knows that the way of the teachings of the Buddha is to eliminate, eradicate all defilements by Panya, because of Panya. Without Panya, it's there. And Lopa attachment is there, unknown all the time. Like now, Buddha told us that after seeing has fallen away, 3 moments after that, there must be ignorance and attachment and wrong view.
Achan, can we say that Satchayana is the firm understanding that it is only Panya that can perform the function of development of understanding?
Right. Without a firm understanding of reality right now, there is no condition for awareness directly arising to that moment as it is.
So, in daily lives and how would Ajahn suggest that to better understand realities in a daily setting?
Any moment. Because what you say, daily life is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking.
Because we have so much ignorance while we are, like, say, in a very hectic life setting that everyone knows. So
that is you. But what Dhamma is there? Citta and Cetasikas. Without knowing each of them, from learning and hearing a lot, which can consider which will condition moment of being aware directly on that moment as it is.
So come back to the. So we just come back to this understanding.
Not we or anyone at all, because seeing arises to see, hearing arises to hear, thinking arises to think. So there are conditions from hearing, which will condition moment of thinking about it. If you haven't heard these words at all, no condition for thinking about it. But from hearing, it conditions moment of thinking by itself, by conditions. That's why citta, its nature is after it has fallen away, it conditions the next moment of citta by conditions to be such and such, by such and such cetasika. No one can do that at all. Having more understanding of this, it will lessen the idea of self. Very, very little at a time. But it's there at moment of understanding.
I want to share why I start meditation. Yes, in the first year of my, I start study Buddhism, learning. I start to study started to learn Buddhism 8 years ago. After 1 year in the elementary class, and then I studied the history of Buddhism. And I found that in the book, the prince, the prince sit down. Prince Siddhartha, right? The Prince Siddhartha sit down under a tree.
The Bodhi tree.
Before that is not called a Bodhi tree. Yeah, sit down under a tree and try to meditate. Okay.
By conditions, remember that nothing can arise without condition. Because we cannot have greater understanding.
And the book as I wrote down that he experienced the fourth jhana and got enlightened.
Okay.
So
reflecting on the Paticca Samuppada.
yes, by reflecting on the Pratisha Samuppada. So
Paticca Samuppada, yeah. Okay.
I know nothing about meditation at that
Right.
time. I know nothing because it is only the second year of learning Buddhism. So I think I try to learn from Buddha, right?
Okay.
I try to learn from Buddha, so I start to meditate.
Okay, we read the Tripitaka, okay, and we know that we don't know what meditation also the Buddha was doing, but we do know he was contemplating, because they mention all the things he realized while he was sitting under the tree and thinking. We don't know whether he was concentrating on breath or whatever, but we do know he was considering, deeply thinking about it, okay? And we know what he realized, the realizations he had when he was under that tree. So, that's for sure. It was very definite consideration, deep thinking about these particular topics. We don't know he was concentrating on breath. We don't know he was concentrating on something else, a candle flame, or any of that kind of thing. But we do know that he was deeply thinking, considering, in Thai it's called picharana, okay, about these things, because he realized these things. In other words, we are witnessing vipassana happening. Wisdom is is growing and is appearing at the level of, and for him it became the level of enlightenment. He went through the 4 stages of enlightenment in previous lives and so forth. Okay, and that was the 4th stage. But we cannot say that he was meditating. But we can say he was deeply thinking about these things, and the understanding arose to the level of being fully enlightened when he was sitting under the tree. Now, the next thing is, he then taught. After he sat under that tree, and he then figured, thought all kinds of things. How am I going to teach this? He wondered whether people would really understand it. How could he teach it? And he realized, after seeing Lotus and all this other kind of thing they explained, that he could teach it. And so he went to the 5 ascetics. He came, okay, and he taught them the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, okay, which explains the Eightfold Path and everything else. So don't you think that that is the most important thing of that, rather than whether was he meditating on attention, on breath, or what he's doing? That's not important. Because, and this idea of the 4th jhana, has anybody ever absolutely come back with proof saying, I've reached 4th jhana and now I can understand, but before 4th jhana I could never understand anything? Do you think that's really true? If that were true, none of us could understand anything, because, well, gee, we have to wait till we're in 4th jhana before we can understand anything. But yet, many of us have experienced various, tiny bits of vipassana, if you want to call it that. Okay? Whereas there's some understanding. So we can't forget about the fourth jhana, because we have no proof of that. We just have what people say about it. But there's no truth of, and then the idea of jhana, you see, this was done before the Buddha's time, where the purpose of jhana is to obtain calmness, okay? To obtain calmness. And it only happens when you're actually doing it, not after you finish doing it and go and do something else, but while you're doing it, you have calmness. Okay? But does that lead to, does jhana actually lead to understanding? And at least from my own experience, when for years I was told I had to do jhana, hoping that sometime I would reach fourth jhana and suddenly I would be able to understand. I was told that for years, and I believed it. And there came a point where I said, I'm not learning anything this way. I'm just sitting and concentrating on breath, and I'm not learning anything. I'm not understanding anything. And it wasn't until I met Ajahn that I was introduced to the truth is true, how understanding arises. And I began to feel that I wasted many years just trying to concentrate on my breath and get calmness, because it didn't make me calm when I wasn't meditating. Okay? And so you have to look at what really is, what is understanding. This is why Ajahn talks about understanding each of these words. What is Dhamma? What is vipassana? What is the process by which understanding arises? How does it relate to the realities? So this is how understanding arises. And how does conditions work? How do all these things work? So the more we read, especially if you read the Paramatha-Dhamma, and you contemplate about it, not sit and concentrate on your breath, but contemplate, deeply think, Picharana, about what you are reading and what you are listening to. That helps to create the conditions for which, when the conditions are right, they all come together, some understanding will arise. And that's what it is. It's not going to a meditation center, concentrating on the breath.
Can I say something at this juncture?
Yes, sure.
The Buddha Gautama withheld nothing. Once he became enlightened, he had to teach it. Yeah. He wanted to. It was perfect love. So he dwelt in all the paramis perfected. Perfect panya, wisdom, love, and so forth. So he withheld nothing. He taught everything. Now, the conditions for the Buddha, there's no self, it's just citta. It cannot be duplicated. It cannot be replicated, because this citta changes constantly. So to actually duplicate and follow everything the Buddha did step by step with the erroneous belief that, this is the way to enlightenment and I will do it too, is error. Because there were people who he taught by conditions just one word, one phrase, and they were enlightened. So what Betty said and what Kunsakin are saying.
No, you're right. I mean, most people react who have not heard the Dhamma. It's because they have not heard the Dhamma, not understood the Dhamma, they come to the same conclusion as you. Hearing the Dhamma, liking something, and then hearing that the Buddha sat, meditated, so that must be what we should do. It did not occur to you that he was not enlightened, and then he became enlightened, and he taught the Dhamma after his enlightenment. And what did he teach after he became enlightened? Did he tell people to do what he did? No. He just taught the Dhamma about realities, the first teachings, right? So he wasn't asking people to do what he did.
And did the Buddha, where in the Tipitaka, did the Buddha ever teach a specific technique for meditation? To focus on the breath?
He mentions there are 40 different kinds of this. That's it. He doesn't even. But you see,
No.
he didn't emphasize.
I mean,
those things.
there's one fact in here is
Yeah.
that like when we talk about whether the Buddha practiced in breath and out breath before he got enlightened, I think at least he mentioned about the practice of anapana in the sutta. This is a fact, right? So he also mentioned about the practice of metta, and he also blah blah blah, like a lot of topics that's being mentioned. But the central idea is also, I agree, is that it's not about what things, the method or whatever. It's about the right understanding, and that's why in the first sutta it wasn't directly. I mean, it anapana wasn't mentioned in the first 3 sutta that the Buddha taught, right? Agree? So the first thing he taught you just Four Noble Truth. And
That's
people,
right.
Yeah, and
So
people
what does
can-
that have to do with sitting and concentrating on your
it's
breath?
not about whether you do sitting or not sitting. I mean, these are just concepts. I mean, it's just to understand. We just
Exactly.
we just hope to understand,
Exactly.
and that's enough, right? So whether someone like what he eat, how to cook it or whatever, these are not relevant.
Exactly. This is
Yeah.
what we're saying.
Yeah.
But if there cannot be moment of understanding reality right now, can there be moment of enlightenment?
No.
So
No.
what enlightened?
When someone understands the reality
No
as no
one,
self, then
panya.
yeah, panya, yeah.
Okay. And if there is no understanding of what we are hearing about reality right now, can there be moment of understanding that moment is not self
No.
as the way it is?
No.
No. So what we need is not meditation center, because we think about meditation as somewhere to do something. But what about understanding anytime, anywhere,
Yeah.
until it's greater and greater,
Yeah.
enough to condition moment of awareness arising from condition, from understanding. If someone will go to meditation center without understanding, so what would they get?
Various results.
Like
With
what?
some,
But no understanding.
when someone already understands,
But
right?
no understanding, because they haven't heard about this at all.
Yeah, and that's why we need to hear, and we need
And
to
forget
consider
about
things.
the place
Yeah.
and the time and to
Yeah.
do, because it will lead to more understanding of anothernness in order to have less and less
Yes.
attachment to the idea of self.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the self is there.
Actually, as wisdom develops, you know better not to think about the past or future,
Yes.
but to
Definitely.
understand what's arising now.
Yes.
So it's not like you were just alluding to that someone with a lot of understanding can may go to a meditation
No.
center.
I don't mean understanding in that sense. I mean, understanding is about right view. It's just about right view. Yeah.
What is meditation and right view?
What we meant by meditation is just to know moment by moment what's happening.
Now.
And
You mean
understand.
now?
Yeah.
So now is the meditation?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
need to have to do anything.
I mean, what we meant by meditation is not something that's very, very, how to call it, on a breath or whatever. It's just to understand what's happening now. That's it. That's meditation already.
So forget about meditation.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
What I want to start. So that's what I
So
want
now
to
is
talk
now.
about. Forget about all these verses about meditation centers or method, whatever. These are all really silly things. I mean,
So meditation center is a silly idea.
I mean, all concepts are silly ideas.
No.
All concepts are. I mean,
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
have to live with them in our daily life, whether we like
yes.
it or not.
Yeah. That's true. So, I mean, we just to understand, and that's what I really agree about Panya. Like we just understand that's everywhere, every moment's not self.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so no meditation center.
This is the meditation center that we are now dwelling in. This is the meditation
No, it
center
is
that
not.
we are
This is
dwelling
just
in.
No.
it is not.
I mean, how do you define the word meditation center
As
or
I was
not?
trying to say-
It's just a way that like how you assign things. I mean, these are all empty. Like, how do you define a person, a human being? Like a biologist would define it differently from my mom.
Let me try to define. see, here, we are not here with the belief coming, we will not come here with the belief that we come here and there will be Panya arising, it's a better place for Panya. We're just here because we have a teacher who
we just learn the words of Buddha.
The words of the Buddha, that's all. Because we realize how ignorant we are. Whereas the idea of meditation, the meditation center as a concept and why people are motivated to go is because they think that that's a better place to have direct understanding, more understanding. They don't go to listen, they don't go anything, but to try to have direct understanding, isn't it?
Rather than this, I would suggest, Sarah and Jonathan, you're very lucky to be close by to some Dhamma people who are very much devoted to hearing the Abhidhamma and the teaching of the Buddha, and that's what we do here in order to
Suggest to them, Sarah and Jonathan.
Oh, yes, yes. So I think that would be a beneficial thing, is to hook up with Sarah and Jonathan, and that way you have Dhamma friends in Hong Kong, and this is a wonderful thing.
They live in Hong Kong, by the way. They live in the Admiralty area, and they run basically a chat group that has members from all over the world. It's called Dhamma Study Group, and we would
Yahoo anymore.
Huh?
It's not Yahoo anymore.
No, it's I didn't say Yahoo. It's
Just reminding.
It's I've written down the address for you to contact, and you can tell her that you met us and you met Tana John, because Sarah and Jonathan Abbott, who run this, she's British, he's Australian. He works he's retired, so he's an advisor to the Hong Kong government.
And living in Hong Kong for many years.
Yeah, so they know Hong Kong very well and can speak a bit of Chinese, I think.
Okay.
And so anyway, it would be a wonderful thing to sign up for this chat group. You could ask any questions. They have all kinds of members from all over the world of various levels of understanding of different practices, different things. We have this question always comes up. About meditation and what it. So this is something that one of the things that gets discussed in this Dhamma group, in this chat group, and it's a very worthwhile thing for you to sign up for this. So I've written it down for you.
They'd be generous enough to even fly over to Hong Kong and read your.
Well, they're in Hong Kong.
They're in Australia.
No,
They're not living in Hong Kong anymore, are they?
Yes, they're still in Hong Kong. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have a very small, this tiny apartment that is like basically one room in the Admiralty somewhere. I haven't been there yet. But if they get to know you in Hong Kong, and you write on the DSG group all the time, you can meet her if she... she's very busy because she runs this. She reads everything every single day, and so to get to meet her and ask questions and so forth, because her understanding is terrific and very worthwhile to get to know her. So this is www.groups.io.
You can just
slash
pass it on to the ladies,
slash
then they can
DSG.
Okay.
Okay.
The thing is, with a meditation center, usually it's a very charismatic teacher who believes wholeheartedly in what they're doing, and then clusters of people go around, and sometimes there are these various interesting experiences, so there can be attachment to a certain
comment
practice.
on like how teachers are and how peoples are. This is
There's a lot of...
It's just pointing out wrong understanding versus right understanding.
I wouldn't
so it's
call
not people.
I wouldn't call any meditations wrong or right in any way.
Well, we're here to discuss that there's only one path. The Buddha taught only one path.
Yeah, of course, sure.
Right.
We just hope to understand the present moment, and that's it. When
And
we
that's
enter into past or futures about who's these and that, then these are not realities, right? So we just want to come back to the present moment, and we just know the present moment. And that's it. Nothing's actually here. I mean, just relax. and just know what's happening. That's it, right? Isn't that's very peaceful, right? The present moment. Yeah, when we get into all these ideas about who teaches and what teaches good or bad, then we enter into some
I agree with you.
then we enter into these kind of delusive thoughts about. Then we have a lot of these are negative things. So I'm very happy that to be here. That
negative. It's
the
thing is, when we talk about
it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I'm very happy here to see a 90-year-old lady sharing her wisdom with us, and it is just very caring. I mean, I can feel the metta from Ajahn for sharing all these, and then she never argues. You can see in this situation, she never argues.
Rarely gets angry.
Yes, she rarely get angry, and she never argues with anyone. She just sit here and she just say anything, and after everyone speaks themselves, and she will speak a little bit, and that's what I really understand.
She comes straight to the point.
Yes, and that's what I'm really grateful of, and this is what we are trying to learn from Ajahn, and this is, I think, you live out the teaching at that point, like don't have to argue with anyone, and we just maintain knowing the present moment, the realities, and just seeing and hearing, and that's really good, and I think that's really cool, because we don't have to go to anywhere, right? We don't have to go to anywhere.
Yes, today will soon be drawing to a close. It's almost noon.
Yeah.
And this obviously cannot be covered in 2 hours. So if I may suggest to please contact Sarah and Jonathan, because one question leads to another, which eventually leads to understanding. Thank you.
In other words, you will think about it if the conditions are there. This would be worthwhile. And it doesn't matter where
So I think we have to conclude, right? So we speak about a little bit about concluding. So we really want to thank Ajahn for sharing this 2 hours with us, and we are from nowhere, and you don't know who we are, and then whether that we are good people or bad people, you don't know, and then we don't do anything.
You came all the way here to listen,
so I'm really grateful, and we all appreciate highly that Ajahn share your time with us, and all these Dhamma friends that's supporting the foundation, and I really appreciate what you have been doing, and I really hope that in the future, this Dhamma and these teachings of Abhidhamma and the Buddha's teaching can spread as far as possible.
So please come again.
Yeah. Oh, Thailand is not somewhere that I always come. This is the first time that I ever visited here. Yeah. So I
have to make an effort to come out and visit.
Sure.
Apartment in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
大家报告1个小时，就是在下个月9月3号，我们的阿展要到台湾去，那个台湾的法友场，请他去那边弘法。如果你们有机会到台湾的话，也可以去参加。
谢谢。Thank you.